Welcome to the Investing Podcast, presented by Tusk Media. Now, for your early morning look at financial news and activity in audio and video form, here's the Morning Market Mimosa.
Hey everybody, welcome back to the Investing Podcast, presented as always by Tusk Media. This is the Morning Market Mimosa for Tuesday, August 23rd, 2016. I'm Andrew Hall, and I'm joined, as always in the morning, by Mr. Ben Nye. Ben, how's it going?
Doing well. Good to have you back.
Yes, glad to be back. We're having fun doing this co-hosting format. I enjoy it. It makes it a lot looser. But the other benefit is if I'm ever tied up, things like that, you can jump in. We can get Garrett in here. We can get Sam in here, Krebsbach, whoever it may be. So I appreciate you covering for me yesterday, but it's good to be back. Speaking of your involvement, we've got a long-form podcast up right now, audio format only, on iTunes between Ben and his old boss.
Yeah.
So basically kind of a recruiting pitch, it felt like, from his old boss trying to reel him back in. But in all seriousness, it's a great conversation about investing. This is the Investing Podcast. And as I said in my intro to that long-form podcast, keep in mind, it's just two investors talking about investing. Right. It's really well done, I thought. We've got part one is up, part two is coming on Wednesday. I really enjoyed it. I think you guys will enjoy it. Lots of topics. And kind of, I think, a very candid discussion about just different investing topics.
Yeah, and I think that's the way to do it. You know, very, very open, very candid, just discussing, you know, how one arrives at certain points and the different paths people take. Interesting about the podcast. You know, I know a lot of people who I've spoken with who might just be like listen to one podcast, subscribe, and then they just have it on their phone to listen on the way to work or something, and like, you know, Ben, I'm getting smarter, so.
Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of the goal here. You know, we do these short intraday updates in hopes that you check them out at some point. These long ones are great for a car ride. Go ahead, hit subscribe on the audio side. If you don't know how to subscribe to an audio podcast, we're going to make sure that intern Garrett tweets out. We actually made a video, not just on how to subscribe to a podcast, but how to subscribe to our podcast.
Which is the important.
It's the important one. It also shows you how to leave a 5-star review, which is incredibly important. We've talked about this some, and we've talked about it on the podcast. iTunes ratings are driven by a number of things, but the two leading components are subscription, or the three leading components are subscriptions, download numbers, and 5-star reviews. Our download numbers are continuing to grow. We're really pleased with that, but our ranking is slipping, mainly because we're not getting as many 5-star reviews. So seriously, if you're listening right now, go to the podcast page, leave a review, 5 stars, say whatever you want. We appreciate that feedback. It helps people find us, and again, the whole goal here is just to educate and have a discussion about investing, and we can have some fun with that. So check out twitter.com/TuskMediaLLC. You'll see the video on how to do all that good stuff. And we'll kind of rock and roll from there. So let's jump in. Market. Futures. Dow futures up 23 basis points. S&P futures up 19. NASDAQ futures up 24. Gold futures up 11. Oil down about 3.5%, trading at about $46.80 per barrel. So pulling back a little bit.
Yeah, you know, what a wild range oil's been in, man. You know, if stocks had this range, people would be I don't know what they'd be doing.
Yeah. That's what I think about, because it seems like it was not that long ago that we saw oil under 30. And then it seemed like this, oil was at 50. And then it seemed like this, oil was at 39. And now it seems like this, we're up at 48. And now we're pulling back. I mean, insane volatility.
Yeah, and you know, Goldman Sachs out this morning saying the OPEC proposed freeze, even if it ever happened. But if it ever happened, they said that could actually be counterproductive, because you'd have people who aren't in OPEC just start flooding the market, picking it up, and then all of a sudden OPEC gets nervous because they're losing share and they put their production, so it actually increase the supply and decrease the prices anyway. So.
Yeah, in some regards, when you start looking at OPEC and kind of these other conglomerates, so to speak, or however you want to put them, you have this oligopoly of oil, and it works well when everyone behaves rationally. But when have they ever behaved rationally? I mean, that's the question. We talk about this a lot in PM meetings. I don't know what quote-unquote normal oil is. We all have, I think, our own kind of mental frame of where it's been and what we would like to see or what it should be. And maybe it's $60, maybe it's $100. But you could defend $60 just as easily as you could defend 100 or 40 or 30. I mean, it's kind of crazy.
And is OPEC even powerful anymore?
Right. I know.
And what power do they have?
It seems a little antiquated, a little outdated. Another story today, Best Buy. Really strong pre-market trading, up 16%. Great numbers, reported good numbers, a couple bullet points that I saw, and I want to get your feedback on some of this stuff. But same store sales were actually up 0.8%.
Yeah.
They were expecting, they had guided flat. Analysts expected down 0.6%, so a pretty big swing there. They also saw some growth in online sales and also saw costs coming down. So really just a great quarter for Best Buy, which I certainly didn't see coming.
Yeah, and importantly, they also increased guidance for the year. Sometimes you might see a company beat and then not raise guidance for the year, which implies actually they're pulling forward demand into this quarter. Not the case with Best Buy today. Some of the little consumer niches that did well was health and wearables, home theater, major appliances, and computing. The weak areas were mobile phones, not surprising, and gaming. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. GameStop reports later this week.
Yeah.
Will that have a read through to GameStop?
Another stock we saw up this morning, Square, basically up on some upgrades. Ben, have you ever used Square for anything?
You know, I've used it at merchants.
Yeah, the Red-Eyed Mule down the street, they use Square. It's one of those things that when it first came out, it just seemed like the ultimate way to scam people, because it seemed like I could at any time just have one of those little Square readers and be like, hey Ben, I can't find my company credit card, can I borrow yours real quick? And then all of a sudden, swoop,
Right.
I'm just taking money. But somehow it's a viable thing for these small merchants.
Right, and you know, I think they appreciate it. It's interesting, the corporate governance at Square, you know, the CEO, Jack Dorsey, is doing half his time there, half his time at Twitter. He must be a lot smarter than me to be able to be a half-time CEO.
As Twitter shareholders, I think that's something I might disagree with at times. Yeah, it's interesting to see how that kind of continues to evolve. And today, I just kind of on a hunch, I looked at Twitter. Twitter's up, about 75 basis points, so 0.75% pre-market, which there's almost kind of some weird read-throughs there for these two separate companies, just because
strange.
The Dorsey effect.
The cult of personality, with the Musk effect and the Dorsey effect. Yeah. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm really a huge fan of either of those effects. Amazon Music, this is something you mentioned in our pre-production meeting this morning, and I think I'm as confused as you are, but why don't you take the lead? We'll try to figure this thing out together.
So Amazon coming out with a new streaming service that is due to compete with the likes of Apple and Spotify at the $10 price point. But Amazon's price point is going to be $5. And the way that they're doing this is you have unlimited streaming only on Amazon devices. Only on the Amazon Echo device. Now, have you ever heard of the Echo device?
No.
I haven't either. I mean, this
You could tell me right now that that's anything, and because it's an Amazon product, I believe it. You could be like, oh, well, it's a jukebox. Oh, cool.
Right.
Anything.
So Amazon coming out with this streaming service. Recode reported it. We'll see how that takes off. Amazon's had some trouble with hardware, though.
Yeah,
remember the Kindle Fire phone?
Yeah, the phone. I remember when it first came out, because they tried to pair it with Prime, and they tried to pair it with all these different things, and it looked awesome. And you're like, oh, this has got to be a success. And I just remember looking at it. It seemed like that phone was around for about an hour and a half.
Right.
And then you never heard anything else about the Amazon Fire phone.
I think, and it's interesting, I think people are becoming wise to getting what you pay for when you buy hardware, and buying stuff on the cheap. I think people are starting to be increasingly wary of, as they say, this will probably last a month.
Right.
And it'll be interesting to see if this Amazon product catches on, or if it'll just be something that is forgotten, kind of like the phone.
We'll have to buy one and give it away on the podcast or something. Something cool. We're probably not going to do that, but that's about all I got for the morning. You got anything else to close up with?
That's it for me.
Not a lot of data coming this morning, but hey, hopefully it's a good day. Hopefully markets stay up. Y'all have a great day. We'll be back later with the Stock Market Power Lunch. End of the day, the Investing Happy Hour. Hit subscribe. Check out Ben's long-form discussion with Jason Plansky. Y'all have a great day. Talk to you soon.
Tusk Media is a subsidiary of Narwhal Capital Management. Ratings and reviews of Tusk Media content are not to be construed as endorsements of opinions, analysis, or services offered by Tusk or its parent company. The opinions and predictions shared here are our professional beliefs at the time of publication. We are not under duress from any of the corporate entities mentioned. This is not a solicitation to take any particular action. Although we are investment advisors, this information should not be considered investment, legal, or tax advice. We strive to be as impartial, insightful, and accurate as possible. We base our opinions, analysis, and calculations on information we believe to be reliable, but we cannot guarantee its accuracy. We can, however, guarantee that our opinions will sometimes be flat out wrong due to a variety of factors. Employees and clients of Narwhal Capital Management may or may not hold positions in the securities detailed and may or may not hold these positions in the future. A full list of all securities purchased, sold, or held during the 12 months preceding the date of this publication can be provided upon request. Unless otherwise noted, all data accessed via MarketWatch or the Bloomberg terminal. Past performance does not guarantee future results. A copy of Narwhal's Form ADV is available at the SEC's website, www.advisorinfo.sec.gov, or from Narwhal upon written request.